Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jake, this is Nadia, this is Buddy, that's Sedona, that's Babu, and today we are talking about a new horror film from Neon called Longlegs.
Longlegs.
This movie stars Nicolas Cage and Micah Monroe. I believe she was in It Follows. Directed by Osgood Perkins, who is actually the son of horror legend Anthony Perkins. The marketing campaign was brilliant. I don't know if you saw any teasers or anything, but they were really pushing like the scary element. There were reviews saying like, oh, it's the most horrifying movie of the year. It is an evil movie. It has like so much darkness and like there was so much hype, and I think that's why there were so many people at our theater. Regardless of the hype, what did you think of Longlegs?
I really liked it.
Okay.
It gave me anxiety, but not the way that like, because I don't like to watch trailers if I can help not to watch it. And then you were asking me, do you want to watch trailer? Because I've heard that it's really like
yeah, I was worried about you because I was like, I heard it's really intense.
Yeah, and I was.
Was it as intense as you thought?
No.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be more intense because for me, really intense looks like it's something a little bit more. But this one actually was my taste for a horror film. It's a mix of supernatural and detective.
Reminded me of Stephen King.
Yeah.
Holly character.
Exactly.
The Outsider.
And I really like those types of films. And so if you're not like a big supernatural type of movie fan, you like detective films, I would give this movie a try because I think you'd like it because I do. I thought the main actress did a phenomenal job. And I thought there was also a good twist. Like I was surprised by the ending. I don't know if you were, but I didn't. I knew that it was going to be something to do with a certain person that I don't want to get into because this is non-spoiler technically, but I didn't know to what degree. I thought like the main character's family member was hiding something. It turned out to be a little bit more sinister than I thought.
So what did you think of the film's style? Because it has very, deliberate style.
I really like that. I like the old-timey kind of homey, but...
Homey?
Yeah, homey because it's like family-oriented.
What?
I thought the two detectives, like, one detective is, like, really close with her mom, and they talk, and they have, like...
Really close? They have, like, a super strained relationship. What are you talking about?
Well, they talk. She doesn't have any friends.
No, she talks to her mom, but their relationship is so awkward and weird.
That's close to me. And,
oh my God.
And the detective's family, I thought was, like, they have a close relationship, obviously. It was, like, a more family-oriented. And I like the vibe of, like, detectives drinking, or one drinking, and then just kind of being like, so, what do you think about this? I really like that. I like not Stranger Things vibe, but, like, the similar vibe in, like, it's this town.
Because it's set in the 90s?
It's in the 90s. Stranger Things is obviously earlier, but...
Although, I just gotta say, sorry to interrupt, but I really love the way they show the period detail. When it's in the 90s, there's a big picture of Bill Clinton.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a flashback to, like, the 60s or whatever in someone's house, and there's a big picture of Nixon.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, so we know this is the past.
Yeah, I feel like lots of movies do that when they're
this just was
establish.
It was very prominent. I don't know if they were trying to make a joke because it was there's not a ton of like iconography of like of things, current events and stuff. So I found that very
well, I really like that
funny.
Because it kind of goes like it sets a tone of this is the movie. These are characters are not like into what's going on pop culturally, but more so what's going on in the relevant times of politics and other things and how it affects their job. Like they're very much every interest that they have revolves around their job. The movie didn't portray that the main characters had any other interest but like solving crimes.
What did you think of the titular Longlegs played by Nicolas Cage? A performance very mysterious and hyped up. There's like barely I don't think there's any appearance of him in the trailers or promotional footage. What did you think of him in this movie?
Unrecognizable.
Okay.
Unrecognizable. He's such a good actor. It's just so different than I thought it was going to be. It's very monotone in a lot of ways.
Except for Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what, like, I like that vibe of everything's monotone, but then there's something off. Everything just seems like, how you were talking about mother-daughter relationship and you were saying like they're very weird and all those things. But the movie makes it look so normal. Like you could see that there's issues, like without getting into spoilers, the mom's a hoarder. You know that there's going to be some issues there. You know that there's some trauma going on with the main character that she just can't express. You know there's something supernatural about her that she can't identify. So you those things are established very early on, right? She's socially very awkward, something unresolved there, but at the same time, the way they deal with it is like, yeah, I got stabbed yesterday.
Here's a question for you.
So,
do you think this movie was trying to be funny?
Oh, and I want to say that it was really funny.
Because I heard you laughing.
It was really funny.
Okay.
And it was trying to be funny, but I don't mind it because it's like...
So you think it was intentional?
It was very intentional, I think, especially at the end. Like, I don't want to I can talk about it in the spoiler, but what happens, it's like,
okay,
with the same thing. And there were character moments. Oh yeah, it was definitely comedic breaks and cues going on. And I thought it was well done. Like, sometimes I don't like movies, and I know you sometimes say that. It's like, I don't like movies. You can tell that they were trying to find it funny. But I was like, I don't care. This works.
Okay.
I think it's nice, like, because it's so, you can feel the main character's anxiety the whole time, and then those little character breaks, that's funny. There's actually a goal there. There's an intention there. He's not just doing something just to do it. There's a reason behind it, and I will say you never really find out the reason behind it. Even like, you find out, they give you a reason for it, but there's no resolution, there's no
I disagree. I feel like it was too resolved at the end.
No,
I feel like they tied it
so
up too neatly.
Not at all. I think that because you don't know how to defeat XYZ. But enough talking about my take. I want to know what you think.
Well, what would you rate it?
8 out of 10.
Okay.
Go ahead.
3 out of 10.
I knew it. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I really didn't like it.
Whenever I like something, you won't like it. So
it's not true. We like stuff a lot. The thing is, we were both laughing in the movie, and I thought we were both laughing out of embarrassment a little bit.
No, I actually liked it.
Because I was laughing because I was like, are we really doing this?
No, I was thinking that too, but in like a great way. This is great. Are we really doing
I found
this?
it that it broke, because here's the thing, I was so wrapped up in this movie in the first 40 minutes. The tone is set really well. There's a lot of bold stuff that happens. And then, as much as I love Nicolas Cage, he's one of my favorite actors. He makes so many movies great. The way he was used in this movie just broke the movie for me.
In what way? Like, you just couldn't, his character just did it for you? It was the last straw?
Tonally wasn't consistent with the rest of the movie. And the thing about the movie is that it's more a tone mood piece than elevated horror, so-called like A24 style movie, even though this is neon. But I'm just, in terms of the perspective of how people look at these movies, it was more in that vein than like a thriller horror movie like Silence of the Lambs, like Seven, which this movie is clearly drawing inspiration from, especially Silence of the Lambs and Seven for the mood, the sense of dread. But to me, those movies work so well because you're really invested in the characters. You really care about Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. You really care about Jodie Foster's character. In this movie, there was so little hanging on these characters. You kept waiting for more to happen to kind of develop them. Like the relationship between the main detective and her partner. There's just such little development that by the climax of the movie, when it could have been more emotional, it was just like, okay. And the thing is, with horror, sometimes you can slide just on mood, just on atmosphere, on the creepy vibes, and this movie had it in spades in the beginning of the movie. But then it kind of throws it away for really obvious horror cliches. Scary, banging your head into the table multiple times. Creepy dolls. Psychic, random stuff. And the movie sets out as a procedural, as an investigation, but the movie's way more interested in the aesthetics of creepy letters, Zodiac stuff. It's like the director saw Zodiac and Seven and Silence of the Lambs and it's like, I like the look of this stuff, but what if it's not really about that? It's really just kind of like supernatural, spooky Blumhouse stuff. And by the end of the movie, it kind of became, to me, like a straight to Netflix, boring cliche fest with the dressing up of a fancy art house film because it has this mannered style. And I just want to add that I think this style, it might be up your alley. It's a lot of symmetrical framing. It's a lot of wide angle lenses. The performance are very mannered, like you were saying, a lot of just speaking slowly. That may work for you. It kind of felt like Wes Anderson trying to do horror films sometimes. And there were sequences that I heard you laughing at that I thought we were laughing because it was silly. There's a flashback sequence of like a brutal murder. and this is like supposed to be very horrifying. And it is framed like a Wes Anderson film. It's just guy with an axe murderer, and the music, like the tone, it's supposed to be scary, but it just is kind of silly, and unfortunately...
I thought it was a little scary.
A little scary, that's the thing, you know, and maybe that's a difference of expectation. Like, again, the marketing's framing this as like a horror film, and it is. Yeah, but it's really is not very scary after a certain point. And I think as evidence of that is that you're kind of a scaredy cat with horror movies.
I was flinching though.
Yeah, but I can tell when you saw Smile, you were scared. Oh, Talk to Me. Last year. That was a great horror movie. Subverted more of the expectations of horror movies. Did a lot more creatively than this movie did. And I think that this movie, it just had a lot of the basic horror cliches wrapped up in fancy dressing.
I don't think that a horror film, like things that you don't like about the film, I think that's why I love about the film, right? Like the tonal differences with the villain versus other characters in the movie arc overall. I think that's what makes it dynamic. And I liked not being so scared. Like that was a good thing for me because I like exactly what you said. It's like Zodiac. It's like all of these different like old detective films, but with a twist of supernatural. And I actually love that. I think that's a perfect...
I don't think it was a twist. I think it was set up as supernatural from the very beginning, and it didn't have a satisfying payoff. With
there was moments when you keep watching, I was like, is this going to be any more supernatural, or is this kind of it? Like, are we like? I didn't know what the supernatural element was going to be because it felt more detective than it was horror. But it did come through. Like I did feel like it became very.
The thing with detective stories and supernatural, like there are ways it can be done, but it's really tricky, I think, because supernatural psychic abilities, that's basically magic. You're basically saying the characters can solve things however they want. That happens sometimes in this movie, and I like police procedurals, detective stories where there's an element of human strain, of struggle, of doing actual investigating work. In this movie, there's moments where she just figures out the riddle, you know? It's because she just knows, because it's psychic. And I think that the whole psychic story, the satanic story, was really unsatisfying and really just stole a lot from movies that I think are better, that I'd rather be watching, you know? And I think that this movie's trying to be an homage to other movies, but if you do that, you have to have something else there, or else I'm just thinking about movies I want to watch more.
Completely disagree, but I guess agree to disagree.
I guess, but I also want to mention Nicolas Cage's performance. I think it would have been good in another movie. I just think that it's so out of place, giggling during this. There's a long interrogation scene.
Reminded me of Mandy.
Except Mandy, I think, was tonally...
No, it did, but like fitting. I'm talking about his performance.
But he's not the bad guy in Mandy, but you know...
No.
I think that there is an element of Mandy, the kind of like over-the-top surreal stuff, but I think Mandy works at it is tonally consistent. Watching Micah Monroe and Nicolas Cage in the same scene was like, this is two different movies, you know, because he's not in the movie very much. And then it's back to its own like slow impending dread. It's like, what the hell was that? It was hilarious. It was so funny. And it lost all tension for me.
I was scared, and I was just good amount of scared, and I liked it.
All right. Well, do you want to get into spoilers?
Yes. 3, 2, 1. Spoilers.
First, do you recommend people go see it?
Well, yeah, I rated it an 8.
All right. I think if you're interested in seeing it, you should definitely see it. You know, it's an indie movie, so there's no harm in seeing it.
Go see it.
So one thing I do want to talk about is the whole mommy issues theme in this movie that felt like, okay, we need this movie to be about something, so let's about like how her issues with her mom, and it's like the mom is actually the one killing these people by bringing this puppet into this family's houses. And I didn't buy it. I thought it was kind of silly. The climax of the movie I saw like a million miles ahead, because as soon as they start talking about families, about the father killing their whole family, right after that we learn that the detective that she's working with has a family.
So
all right,
he's
going to kill his family. Like that's probably going to be an important part of the movie. And then when it happens in the final part of the movie, and this is what I mean by I had an issue with the mannered style, because it like when everything is framed deliberately, everything's slow, having this kind of like stylized pace, that when there's like this action ending where big things are happening, there's a moment when the dad goes into the kitchen with his wife and she knows he's going to stab him. Everyone and then she hears him stabbing him. She has a gun. She just stands there. while he does it, it just became too silly for me to believe, and it was straining credibility for me.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It was very predictable in that way. But what
Yeah.
wasn't predictable is that the mom was the one killing.
I saw that coming.
Well, for me, I thought that she was hiding something because she protected like her daughter
Oh, for sure.
and all that stuff.
The
But
locked door in the house.
yeah, I didn't know that she was dressing up like a nun and getting into people's house. Yeah, that's what I mean though. So you didn't see that coming either. With a doll that she was also a doll maker. I thought like Nicolas Cage's character was the only doll maker there, and then so you wonder like how many people actually accomplices are there. It looked like the doll was the actual devil, or at least one of the demons or something like that, because the doll can't be killed, like almost gets resuscitated. And I didn't know that when she killed one of the other dolls in the backyard, when she was discovered, the mom, the daughter, there's something like that came out of her brain, like a powder, like a black ash.
Smoke or something.
Smoke, yeah. And, that's what I mean with unresolved. Like, does she still have psychic ability? Because she always, like, she knew things instinctively. She's like, she could smell evil. Turns out it's because evil was kind of in her because of what her mom did. It's also interesting because the mom would say, you gotta pray to keep the devil away. But then she never prayed. That was kind of like, oh, ha, 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 ha. But now I know why she was laughing about like not praying, because she like herself was worshiping the devil. And...
yeah, I just thought it was so predictable and just like, of course.
But you said that you didn't know that it was going to be the mom was going to go to the extent that she did. So it wasn't that predictable.
I didn't, but it's just like, all right, the mom has something to do with it. Like, it's clearly not really about Longlegs. It's about the mom. Nicolas Cage wasn't in it for very long, and then hit the whole interrogation scene. I thought was so funny.
Yeah.
And there's a moment when they're watching the footage, like it's this horrifying thing, and it seems like you haven't seen The Dark Knight, but it really seemed like he was doing like a parody of Heath Ledger's Joker the whole time. Mm-hmm. And then he has what looks like a botched plastic surgery, Botox or whatever. Okay, he's doing Nicolas Cage. He's singing goofy songs. He's going all over the place.
He is goofy, and that's what I like about it. Like the drive one I was mentioning earlier is like Sora Clark, and he goes, "Daddy, Daddy," and then you just like laugh. Yeah. And at the end, very end, when you ask me like, are they intentionally trying to be funny? It's like, yeah, the very end was he like winked. He literally gave a wink to the camera.
I never saw this is a serial killer. This is Nicolas Cage just being let off loose. I was pulled from the immersion of the movie entirely.
No, so that's what pulled me in. That's what I liked about it.
I was so pulled out. It was so jarring. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is Nick Cage. Great. He's doing his shtick in a movie that doesn't seem to like want him there.
I think there was a lot of elements and aspects that it would be interesting to like understand or know more about. Is first of all, is the daughter now not socially awkward? Like when the male detective,
not socially awkward.
Like when the male detective's daughter was like talking to the detective, and she was like very uncomfortable with the conversation. You could tell like she just doesn't know how to talk to normal people. She doesn't feel abnormal when she's talking about like a case, when she's talking about serial killers, when she's talking about these evil people. Now that we saw smoke coming out of her brain, is she not psychic anymore? Is she like, was that the thing that was kind of holding her, giving her more anxiety, is her connection? And now that she stopped her mom from doing what she was doing, where does it leave her? Because her mom, from what I understand, made the sacrifice that she did to be a killer to save her daughter. So what does that mean with the daughter? Does that daughter is she marked for death? I actually would love to see a sequel of this.
I'm good. I'm a little tired of the kind of highbrow elevated horror that is lacking in like substance. Personally, to me, I found this movie to be lacking in substance. I'm sure if it connects to you, there's stuff to be pulled out of here. And because of that breaking of the immersion, because I couldn't buy Nicolas Cage, because I thought that the overly mannered style was too much, and I thought the story didn't have enough like moving parts, it just felt empty. And I left the movie feeling like, all right, well, that was interesting. That was a big swing. But unfortunately, it just missed for me.
I want more horror films to be this way. This is what I like about watching horror. These are the types of horror films I like.
I found it a little pretentious. Pretentious.
I found it just on the note.
Let us know what you think of Longlegs. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be seeing it this weekend. Let us know, and thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.